In this video, I'm going to be going over 20 of the best creatures for Ark Scorched Earth. These are creatures that only spawn on Scorched Earth, and they're in no particular order at all. It's not a ranking, it's just the 20 best. And the first creature I have on the list is the Thorny Dragon. This one is a pretty simple knockout tame. Once you get it, it's a pretty decent mount, can defend itself, and has these torpor draining like spikes that it throws out of its tail. But the main reason it's on here is its wood gathering abilities. It can gather a ton of wood, and it's the only creature on this map that can have that ability. And it also has a weight reduction on them as well. Number 19 is the Iguanodon. This is a great starter tame. It has a decent amount of weight, but the main ability is that it doesn't drain stamina when it runs on 4 legs, which means you can travel across the whole map pretty easily. You can get around really fast. It also has decent weight, and it can defend itself on its 2-legged mode, as well as it can use the new cart items as well, so you can carry a bunch of stuff with the carts. Overall, the Iguanodon's really good. And then we have the Thilo. This one's usually always on lists because it's absolutely amazing. It does tons of damage. It has a 5% bleed attack, which can make it to where you can kill pretty much anything you need to. It's really strong, can fit in caves, so you can use it as a caving creature, especially on Scorched Earth. And it can also climb walls and stuff, and those huge cliffs, you can easily climb them with this guy, as well as it has reduced fall damage as well. Thylos are obviously great creatures and are ones you should definitely look into getting. Number 17, we have the Morellatops. This one is the best starter tame on this map, in my opinion. It's just so much it can do. It can travel across the map. It's got good weight and stamina. It can harvest tons of berries. And you can get wood from those little bushes as well with this guy. But the main thing is it can harvest water in there. And you can basically like refill your canteens and stuff, or water skins, whatever. You can drink water from it or irrigate things with it. There's just so much utility with this thing. And you can get it pretty early on. It's just a simple knockout tame. Then we have the Mantis. You could find this one on the dunes and tame it passively with Deathworm horns. Once you get it, this guy is pretty useful. You can do a bunch of damage, and you can also put swords in his hand and like lash it towards things and kill them pretty easily, and it's really strong. It also has like harvesting abilities. You can get a bunch of fiber, which is what I like using it for, or you can like put hatchets in its hand and get a bunch of wood, or you could put picks in its hand and get flint. So you can do all kinds of resource gathering with this thing. Number 15, we have the new Fossilosuchus. This thing has got a lot of uses. It is really strong and really powerful. You can basically do like a whirlwind in the sand and make stuff sink in there and like dismount people that are flying in the air. As well as it can also gather stuff. If you go like swim in the sand, you can gather a bunch of flint by harvesting these rocks. And it's probably the most efficient flint gatherer in the game right now, I would say, because you can get a ton of it with it. Now we have the Procoptodon. This one has a lot of different uses. It can basically put babies in its pouch, and if it's mate boosted, it can imprint them more. Basically, if you imprint it, you'll get more imprinting out of it, which is useful. As well as you can put other small dinos and players in the pouch too, and you can run extremely fast and jump really high, so it's a great travel mount. And of course, you can have 2 people riding it as well, so you can get around the map really quickly. And then we have the Anky. This one is the great creature for getting metal and flint as well if you want to get some flint. And you can, paired with an RG, you can get as much metal as you possibly need because it has a huge weight reduction on the metal. And overall, it's just a great creature for getting resources. And at 12, we have the Terrajaja. This one is a pretty quick flyer and is probably the quickest flyer you can get before you get the Wyverns. As well as it's got a 3-seater saddle, and if you're on the back of the saddle, you can actually use guns while on the side of a wall. As well as it just has a great mobility. You can do 360 turning radius, move up and down really fast, which I think would honestly be really useful for getting in the Wyvern trench. And at number 11, we have the RG. This one's usually always on these lists because it is just a great creature. It has tons of weight, tons of stamina, it can attack stuff, it's got great damage. But also have weight reductions on pretty much everything in the game, like everything you need, like metal and stuff like that. As well as you can pick up big dinos like Ankies and stuff, and it has a smithy in its saddle. And number 10, we have the Megatherium. This thing is extremely strong, and that makes it super useful. If you kill things that give chitin, like insects and stuff, it gets like a 300% damage boost, which allows you to destroy pretty much everything you need. And in the dunes, there's tons of bugs that you can get this boost from, as well as in caves, like the church cave. You can fit this thing through the entire thing and go through it super easily because you can destroy all those creatures. Number 9, we have the Doedicurus. This one is the best stone harvester in the game. It gets tons of stone, and on Scorched Earth it gets tons of sand as well, even though it does not have a weight reduction on sand, so it will get overburdened really quickly because of that. But it does have a weight reduction on stone, so you can just drop all the sand, or you can use it to make clay, which of course sand takes a lot of clay, or makes a lot of clay, which is another reason why the Doedicurus is so useful. Number 8, we have the Mosschop. This is a great starter tame and can be useful because it gets a ton of fiber as well as a bunch of other resources. But early game, you can use this thing to get a ton of fiber. Pretty much all you need. It's one of the best fiber harvesters. Even in the later game, I would still use this thing to get a bunch of fiber if I needed to. which is why it's so good. And you can get a bunch of berries early game as well once you get this guy. At number 7, we have Rexes. Rexes are always on this list because they're just a great all-around creature. You can use them for like meat runs and stuff, especially on Scorched Earth, because you don't have things like Gigas and stuff. So they're the primary use for things like meat runs to go get a bunch of meat, because you can kill pretty much everything on the map with it. As well as you can use them for boss fights as well. The Manticore boss fight, the Rexes are a great choice for that boss fight. So using these guys is definitely worth it. And then we have the Oasis Saur. The Oasis Saur is part of the Bob's Tall Tale DLC, which it is part of Scorched Earth, so it is going to be on this list. It is super powerful. You could basically fly around with it, build a base on the back of it. It's got the waters that gives you the Gaia's Embrace buff, as well as you can like prevent diseases with this thing. So if you have diseases and bathe in the water, it gets rid of the diseases. If you put crops on it, it immediately fertilizes the crops. So that makes it great for me because, you know, I don't feel like fertilizing all my crops all the time. And it brings dead creatures back to life. So a lot of things for this creature, and obviously it's going to be on this list. And then we have the Tyranis. This one is great for boss fights because it has that courage buff, where you can do the courage roar and it increases the damage and resistance of dinos. But you can also use this in battles too, like maybe fighting deathworms or something. But you could also use it to fear roar stuff as well, so it's a nice little bonus there. At number 4, we have the Rock Elemental. This one's better for PvP, not as much in PvE, but you can still gather a bunch of stone with it and stuff, which would always be useful. But it is really strong. It does like 50% reduced damage from pretty much everything, so it's really hard to kill. And you can like basically like soak a bunch of turrets and stuff with it as well. And then we have the Dayal. There's one reason it's on this list, and it's because of its main ability, the passive healing ability. Basically, if you give it a bunch of food, you can passively heal dinos, which is useful for boss fights or just healing your wounded dinos over time. Obviously, a healing ability for a dino is going to be extremely useful, making it heal way faster than it normally would. And then we have the Gerboas. The Gerboas are super early game tame. You just have to punch them out with your fists and knock them out and you'll get them. And they warn you of upcoming weather events. And it's obviously super useful to know the weather events upcoming in Scorched Earth because they can be deadly. And I've saved the best for last, and it is the Wyvern. But like I've said, I haven't put this list in any particular order, but I do think the Wyvern is the best, and it's my personal favorite of all the creatures. There's 3 different variants, the Fire, Poison, and Lightning, and they're all really, really strong. You can use the elements to pretty much kill everything on the map. Like, you can defend yourself pretty much against all of the wild stuff in the map. Nothing can kill you. It's got tons of stamina, tons of weight. You can pick up pretty big creatures as well with it, like around the size of the stuff the Quetzal can pick up. I think there's a few things that it can't pick up that the Quetzal can, but it can pick up tons of stuff as well. So all around, it is just a great creature. But that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Let me know if there's any other creatures you think I should have put on the list. But thanks for watching, and bye.